my man John Thomas to the stage. Can y'all give him a hand? All right, John's going to tell his story again. He's one of our major sponsors this year. He got some slides that me and him will have some back and forth. All right, John.
Appreciate it. Ooh, getting close to this mic. Harold, what's up, sir? Clarence Bethia, good to see you. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so as Dr. Moore mentioned, this is the second year that we've sponsored Black Student Athlete Summit. For those that I got an opportunity to spend some time with having a conversation, not only do I come on behalf of the brand, because we just believe that the product that we provide you is going to help you to see a difference in your skin, but as a former student athlete, former professional athlete, I was one of y'all. So I want to help you to see a difference in your life. And so a lot of my story, and we all have one. So I think my goal today is to just to be able to share, some of the things that happened to me throughout the course of my life, and ultimately what led me to the position that I'm in. And hopefully you can extract some value from that, because at the end of the day, the time that you spend here is the most precious thing that you can give. And so I want to make sure at least that you can, hear my story and hear from that. So my journey in basketball started at high school, where I was 15 years old. My parents had divorced. My dad played pro ball. And what I realized was that in my father's absence, I needed a connection. I needed a connection to him. And through our phone conversations, when I first started playing football, basketball became my thing. So he was telling me all about all the different things he did to sacrifice to make himself a better player, so I started doing those things. I grew up in South Minneapolis, about 4 blocks from where George Floyd was killed. So we had a lot of different Bloods and Crips and everything else in our neighborhood. Our neighborhood was the Blood. You see shooting outside, but for me, I was just like, I'm gonna go hoop, I'm gonna come home. So the pictures that you see is just me being in the gym, just getting after it. By the time I was a senior, I was getting all kinds of recruiting offers, had no idea. It's so different now. I ultimately chose University of Minnesota, next slide, where my father had come back into my life, but he wasn't in the home. And the recruiting process for me was really simple. I wanted to be around, one, a black coach and someone who was going to invest in me, because what I didn't realize at the time was I needed another father figure because my father was gone, but also it was the thing that just felt home. So 4-year run at the university where I studied speech communications, media studies, and a minor in African American studies. You see the light skin, my mom's white, my dad's black, so I want to know more about black side. It was important to me to understand that. Within that 4-year run, I did not finish because I was drafted to play in the first round. Next slide. And what I didn't realize was, so within that 4-year run, I didn't realize the fact that how much of a business that I was actually in. So I was traded twice within my first year. And for me, I'm a very passionate, loyal person. And so staying in one place for 4 years and then getting moved where they tell you once you get traded, you basically have 72 hours to be able to pack up your stuff and go to the next city. Don't know anyone, all the relationships, but I'm a relationship person, right? So for me, that was really challenging. So these are some of just the pictures that you see from my journey, right? Why, for some reason, I'm all, they got the tongue out or whatever. Got a chance to play against some of the greats, and that's me guarding Shaq, right? I mean, my first experience was against Michael Jordan, the 97, 98 Bulls. Got a chance to see Kobe, LeBron, everybody else come in, right? But I was a journeyman in the NBA, right? 7 teams in 5 years. I didn't understand what my market was looking for. I didn't understand what my coaches wanted because I was too scared to ask them or really honestly build a real relationship with them because everything was so transactional. Took me then 10 years overseas. So I also played in Israel. That's what you see with the stripes on, so we have something in common. Hapoel Yerushalayim, I played in Israel as well, 10 years. China, Spain, Syria, Ukraine, Israel, Greece, and South Korea. So what that does is it gives you a landscape where you get an opportunity to see all these different experiences, and what you start to see is there's a difference between excellence and the opposite of excellence. And so you can look at it in coaches, you can look at it in teammates, you can look at it in organizations, you can look at all those. So that gave me a lot of skills that I was thinking about that would ultimately put me in a position of success that I had no idea was actually happening right before me. So naturally, what happens? There's a lifestyle that comes along with it. So because of a divorce and my parents not understanding what that looked like in terms of what should I actually spend my money on, right? That's an actual picture of my house. That's an actual picture of the car. And those are the dream scenarios for me, because every 2 weeks at my peak, I was making $33,000 after taxes every 2 weeks. So could I get a BMW? Of course. Could I get a 6,000 square foot home? Of course. But I want to take care of my mom, I want to take care of my brother, I want to take care of my sister. I got to get that $15,000 stereo system because, you know, it's hitting, right? But I didn't understand the difference between asset and liability, right? So I live in this world of duality, and I've learned a lot about that. There's always this notion of yin-yang, the opposite. If something's good, guarantee there's a vacuum that could potentially create a negative opportunity. Something in negative, you already know there's so much that you can pull that's good from it. This was my transition. So if I went to the dope side, now what's happening? So I finished a career after 15 years, pull up to the bank statement, negative dollars in my bank account, right? Do I strike you potentially, and obviously I'm getting to it, but do I strike you as someone who's not intelligent? Well, intelligence has nothing to do with it. It comes down to what are you surrounding yourself with, what are the examples, and how are you creating a model for yourself? Because for sure, it wasn't like I didn't have people around me telling me. It wasn't like I didn't have people around me that potentially wanted to show me, but I'm the man. I'm making the dollars. I got drafted. I'm playing overseas. What do you know? Right? Well, what I know is this was my first paycheck. So I finished, like I said, a 15-year career where now I don't have any relationships. Why? Because I spent all my time at the university studying. I spent all my time inside of the basketball court honing my skills. And guess what? If I'm in that tractor beam sport, which is like, oh, yo, I can go pro. Well, I spent all my time there, but I don't understand that this is a depreciating asset. Right? At some point, I can't do what I do. I got grades now, y'all. If any of you hoopers were out here, I'm going to show you some stuff, but like them, but hold up, though. Y'all going to beat me. That's the reason I'm not compensated anymore, because my mind knows exactly what I need to do from a basketball perspective, but my body can no longer function. So I didn't realize that the value that I was providing to the market had now dramatically changed. See, I came from the entertainment industry to now I was in an industry. My first job was at Lifetime Fitness. And I knew nothing about sales or service, right? Because every business has functions, and they have the number one thing that they're all trying to get. Don't get it twisted. Every business is in there to consume your resources to gain cash. So the question is, if you want something in return, what are you willing to give in return? I had no leverage. I walk into a room negotiating with a CEO. In my mind, I'm John Thomas. I played at the University of Minnesota. I played for the Timberwolves. I'm from Minnesota. Lifetime Fitness is a corporation of $3.2 billion. I need $100,000. So he's having a conversation in the boardroom. Don't look like me, using words that I have no idea what you're talking about. And he starts talking about this word called a budget. Well, what's a budget? Well, how much budget do you have, Alan? He says, we don't have any budget, because what I didn't realize was there's something called fiscal year planning. A company has to say, hey, we have to project how much revenue we're going to make and how many expenses we're going to have. And our bottom line, we hope to be profit. So within an organization, there are multiple departments, and the department that I was going to was a brand new startup opportunity where I was going to be the national coordinator of Ultimate Hoops training, where I had absolutely no experience, behind no budget, but I wanted $100,000. So he says, here's what we're going to do. Since you have no budget, I'm not going to give you 8, and he's saying this verbally. This is the CEO, Brian McCarty. We're not going to give you 8. We're not going to give you 6. We're going to pay you $24,000 a year. I had no leverage. I had no relationships. I had no other opportunities. I took it. That's $577.46 every 2 weeks when I was used to making $33,000, going from a house to a $6,000 to a BMW to a PT Cruiser where I'm leaning back because I didn't want anybody to see me because I'm too ashamed to tell that story. So how does that relate to you? All of you are being monetized. All of you. Your universities are monetizing you because they receive public funding or private funding for the time that you graduate. They receive funding on the head count. There's a reason in college that if you don't pass, you don't get an F, you get an I. Because they want you to complete the incomplete because they receive the funding. Do not get it twisted. They're going to get theirs, and they are getting theirs. On the athletic side, how's your body feel? Right? When you walked in as a freshman compared to when you're a senior, and here's the thing, your body hurts every day. I know, and especially for you hoopers, because I've lived it, your body hurts every single day. So you're doing the university's bidding to reach a potential dream, to get a piece of paper, but you don't have an opportunity to get in front of businesses like I didn't to drive value. I had no value to offer. Well, maybe I did, but they were taking a risk on me because I didn't understand. What's my skill set? I couldn't dunk an email. I couldn't cross over a presentation. If you go from one industry to the next, the question comes down to, why me? Because that's what they're asking. So I had to learn that this was a process of understanding how I provide value to the market, right? So I try to simplify things as much as possible. So walk with me for a second. You were all created. And through your creation, you have the ability to fashion 2 things or produce 2 things. Goods, tangible things that you can actually touch and feel, or services, right? Like an opportunity to speak in front of you where I'm actually selling something. See, markets come together, right, within an economy, and they're exchanging value. And the one with the most leverage gets to decide whether or not I'm actually going to purchase what you're buying. See, what I've learned, and now because I'm able to hire people, what am I looking for? I'm looking for those that can provide value to not only me, but to the company. And if I'm in a position of leverage, I get to decide what's valuable. No different than if somebody's for you ladies, if somebody's like one of these dudes, like who my man was like, hey, you know, up on the stage, like, they get to decide what's valuable. So we're exchanging services, we're exchanging goods in a market. That's the thing that you're doing right now. You're providing a service to your university. And the reason why some of you are at a school that you're at is the market has decided you're not good enough. Or the market says, hey, you're killing it. So what they do is they provide you with some level of compensation because they can, because of the major sports that they have, right? Because they decide it's the value. But be careful, because it's just another fish. The problem is nobody's teaching you how to fish because you don't have the time, because you don't make the time, because you don't know. How do I know you don't know? Because I didn't know. And when you're so busy being a student athlete and you finish and you're like, dang, well, what's my skill set? Move it out to the global landscape right now. What's happening globally? Obviously, there's a shift. We're no longer the power that we thought we were. We gave away all our jobs. A lot of things are happening that's changing the landscape. So the question comes down to is like, how are you providing value to the market? I'm going to stop with this one because there's a trillion lessons that I have. But this one for me resonates with me the most. And what this represents is an opportunity to look at what seeds are you planting in your garden. If I'm John Thomas and I have the ability to fashion goods or services, am I technically not a company? I have the ability to market and sell a service, which then at some point I receive finance, and from that, I ultimately have to be able to produce, which is in operations, and then all things being considered, the bottom end of that is data. Individuals are the same, companies are the same. The only difference is one is living and the other is not. So when I talk about value, there is no substitute for any single one of you because we all will die. The most important skill that I believe you can possess is what you choose to do with the thing that you will no longer have. What I just said a second ago, I cannot get back. Where I choose to invest my time, who I choose to invest my time with, where I choose to deposit my energy, will ultimately plant the seed. Once I plant the seed, I must give it resource in order to grow, correct? So what is the proverbial water, the sunshine, and everything else that gets that seed to grow from a seed to a sapling? And then ultimately from a sapling to a tree, because it is the tree that bears fruit that I sell back to the market. The picture on the right signifies what's happening to a lot of us today. Your garden is barren because you only have a certain amount of time that you can actually invest, not only in yourself, but if you're investing your time in the university, if you're investing time in an athletic department, then because the athletic department, I'm hurting, I gotta invest in my body, I'm hurting, right? But then you decide like, oh, cool, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna invest in social media and just aimlessly scroll where it's just free content. So what do I receive in return? I guarantee you right now, if all of you were to pull up your screen time and ask yourself, how much am I actually learning to invest in myself? You already know the answer. See, the magic isn't so much that you invest in every other thing, because the Netflix garden, the Instagram garden, the university garden, even the NIL garden of distraction of time that I now move away from the main thing of why I even got here garden. But what about the John Thomas garden? So what I've learned is I have to invest in myself. And part of being young, there's a saying that youth is wasted on the young because you don't know. You're at the bottom of the mountain, you're trying to get to the top. All of us old heads are like, hey, listen, we need you to come up here. So I hope you can take from this conference that brands like us are just people, right? We represent people, and what are we trying to do? We're trying to figure out how we put a product or a service in front of you in exchange for some level of value. So if it's valuable for you, then you'll do that. But also the person in me, and as a former student athlete, former professional athlete, hopes that you gain as much value as you can and shout out to all the people who are taking notes. And I mean old school style, right? Like, because when I took that job at Lifetime Fitness and I didn't understand the words that were coming out my white boss's mouth, I don't understand what contribution margin is. I don't understand what profit is. I don't understand, like, what do you mean when you say you need me to put this together? So I would create little check boxes with Q next to it. And I would say, what is this? Along with the notes that I'm taking. So at the end of every night and in the morning, because I would take my badge in the morning and be like, bleep, at 4:30 in the morning, because we had access. And before that 9 o'clock meeting, I was prepared. I compounded that over time. So I grew a business from $10,000 to $1.2 million. I went from making 24,000 to 102 in 4.5 years, right? I was a vice president of community impact for the Minnesota Timberwolves and Lynx. It's 6 years in, and what I realized when my health was failing, when my father passed, when I was not happy, when I was around my family as much as I wanted to, I said, you know what? I have an ability to solve problems to the market. I've got a really good network, and I'm willing to take a chance on myself because at 37 years old, I already had to hit the reset button, so guess what? I'm gonna do it again. Hey, boss, I quit. So how does a former athlete who never started marketing, who was always like, hey, I'm just gonna wash my face and put some lotion on it, change into, hey, now I cleanse and I moisturize. This platform, this opportunity for me is called my Ikigai. Look it up, right? There's a cross center and a section around what are you good at, what are you passionate about, what does the market need, and can you actually provide that opportunity? So for me, I knew that I want to help people, and I can actually use skincare as a, oh, by the way, but thank you so much for having me. Thank you to every single person that's here, right, to all the people that brought the student athletes, and for anyone else that ever needs anything, like I said, easy to find, but let's have a conversation around value. Don't just network, build a relationship.
All right, we got one question. John, come here for a minute, man. All right, so I'm sure all the student athletes heard you. We got Power 4, we got HBCU, we got Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior college, mid-major, all of them. And if you would ask, I know what they're all are thinking, because I got 3 of them in my house. My daughter played basketball at North Texas. My other daughter played volleyball and cheer at Jackson State, and I have a son who plays Power 4 football. Daddy, I don't have time. Have you joined a student organization? Dad, I ain't got time. Do you have friends outside of your sport? Dad, I ain't got time, man. This. We ain't got time. And that's at every level. How do you respond to that question? And we out of here after this. Go ahead.
You actually, oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, let me get my Barry White voice back on. You know, you actually do time. You do have time. You're just choosing not to audit it the right way, right? And because you, like I said, youth is wasted on the young. What do young people think about you? Even before 26, your brain's not even fully formed yet, so even a lot of stuff might not land the plane. So the thing is, what are you chasing? You're chasing feeling. It's got to feel good. I want to go to this party. I want to kick it. I want to chill because my body hurts to watch Netflix. The thing is, never ever has there been a better opportunity to have information readily available for you. If I went to Google and YouTube University after I went to university, right? Now you have AI. Information is everywhere. So people say information is power. No, it's not. You know what's powerful? Is when you take information and choose to use it for action towards some of the goals that you have. Don't ask me about, like, you can ask me about my journey, but don't you dare ask me about how to create a plan. Go ask AI. Right? So I would just say, invest, and the biggest thing is, like, you gotta spend more time with yourself. Right? Because the values that you have are the thing that is ultimately gonna motivate you. Yeah, when I had money, yeah, I had money. I went from having no money, rubbing quarters together, to having money, to then losing it again, to then now having money again. But I'm more seasoned, and I understand that things like delayed gratification and compound interest, if I just do those things, right? But I had to search that information through pain and struggle and everything else, and a lot of y'all gonna go through that. And the reason why this conference exists is people want to help you. But it's not when the teacher is ready, the student appears. It's when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Because we have the knowledge, the wherewithal. We show up to give the most powerful thing that we have, which is our time. I got family, y'all. I want to be with my son, my daughter, my wife, my dog. I don't really want to be around them birds, though. I got some birds. But I would rather spend time at this point, because I don't want to die with all this stuff inside and not give it. So if I can give you something, if you could take one thing away and say, hey, I'm going to put that into the brick of my foundation to say, you know what, it's important that when you say you don't have time, no, you do have time. You just don't want to.
Come on. All right, thanks, John. All right. Appreciate it. All right, we give John a hand. Thank you, man. All right. Oh, picture? Okay, cool, man. All right. Man, he like I'm like his little brother, huh?
There's taller ones than me.